What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including, is there backstage heat on Penta already? WWE Mocks AEW. What was Penta actually saying during his promo? The Wyatt Six are moving. Hulk Hogan returning to WWE. Is Corey Graves upset with WWE? The AEW roster is happy to see Malakai Black gone. WWE has stopped using crowd noise on Raw, a sponsor missing from Raw last night, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on Wrestlelamia XL. Now, as always, we won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Penta vs Chad Gable. WWE picked the perfect opportunity for Penta's debut, with Chad Gable putting Penta over in, pardon the pun, a Dynamite debut match. While Penta had just a little bit of ring rust, Gable picked up the slack, giving fans a good look at Penta's abilities and promise. This one was definitely up there with the top 10 debuts of all time in WWE. Number 2, Lyra wins. Lyra Valkyria is your inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion, and while Dakota Kai came up short, both women look fantastic. The WWE has a golden opportunity to elevate its women's undercard, and with any luck, there are big things ahead for Lyra and Kai. Number 3, Seth still seething at Punk. Now you gotta admire Seth Rollins' disdain for CM Punk. The Visionary showed up to let Punk know he's entering the Royal Rumble just to spoil Punk's chance of main eventing WrestleMania, a reminder that their feud isn't over, and in fact, it's just beginning. Number 4, a well-booked IC Championship tournament. Now, the WWE's booking of its women's undercard has been hit and miss for years, but the recent tournaments for the US and the Intercontinental Championships have succeeded, particularly the IC title tourney, in giving fans a closer look at the WWE's many talented women. As always, follow-up is key, as the new titles will be meaningless unless they're promoted well when the WWE elevates contenders in their matches. Number 5, plenty of Rumble build-up. Credit for WWE for using Raw to build to the Royal Rumble, with both men and women making their bids for their respective Rumble matches. The Rumble is a major event that is in some way a playoff game for who advances to WrestleMania. Consequently, everyone should be booked as wanting a shot in the match. Number 6, Priest vs Balor Bedlam. Last night's street fight was a perfect blow-off match for Damian Priest vs Finn Balor. While there's no guarantee that this feud is over, both superstars made it look like one of them was leaving Raw feet first. Now hopefully this settles the feud and both talents can now move on to new programs. And Bayley vs Ripley could be decent. Was Bayley vs Rhea Ripley the match that fans were expecting? Well, probably not, but it's an amazing opportunity for WWE to give Ripley a veteran contender while WWE prepares for her to defend the title at WrestleMania. But that was a good what about the bad. It's number 1, Gunther on the back burner. Gunther is fast becoming a footnote on Raw. WWE has spent years building him up to where he seems worthy of his ring general nickname, so why is he suddenly a background figure? Gunther was stuck with a hype video on Raw's premiere, and now he's facing Jey Uso at Saturday night's main event, a match that no one believes that Jey will even win. Raw is brimming with talent to have Gunther face, including in non-contender matches, so why is he seemingly stuck in catering? Number 2, Sheamus vs Kaiser should have ended months ago. WWE often hits home runs and occasional grand slams, but sometimes its undercard programs are so bad that you have to wonder if the promotion has used leftover notes from the Vince McMahon era. Sheamus vs Ludwig Kaiser is another example of WWE booking superstars in endless rematches. And did we really need Sami vs The Miz? Speaking of filler, did Raw really need Sami vs The Miz? Zayn's win won't do anything for him, and The Miz has repeatedly proven he's untouchable, despite endless losses. This match served no storyline purpose and should have been cut for other segments. Now, there was nothing downright ugly. Raw seamlessly shifted from last week's Netflix premiere, which was a 3-hour commercial for WWE, and returned to focusing on storylines and building things up for the Royal Rumble. WWE definitely hit a home run with Penta's debut, and really got fans invested into the show. What do you guys think of the second episode of Raw on Netflix? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Now first we looked at Penta's WWE debut sends shockwaves. Penta El Zero's WWE Raw debut sent shockwaves across WWE, with fans loving his match against Chad Gable and his fiery promo. Penta was actually praised for his debut match. Penta defeated Chad Gable in an exciting bout that on paper could have been a disaster. Gable and Penta work very different styles, but for the most part their match went very smoothly, reminding fans why Gable is such an asset to the WWE and what Penta brings to the table. Now, no match is perfect, and there was one noticeable segment where he looked like he zoned out for a second. Whether it was ring rust, a case of debut nerves, or something else, the match obviously wasn't perfect, but nevertheless, it was a great one to wow the WWE Universe. Was Penta injured during the match? Now, some fans were concerned that Penta injured a leg during his match against Chad Gable, with WrestleTalk noting, during the match, some fans noted that Penta appeared to be favoring his leg, leading to a belief that he may have picked up an injury. PW Insider has now confirmed that this was not the case, with Penta selling his leg as if it were injured. Boy, did he sell. At some points when Chad Gable was hitting his leg across the ring post, the man was screaming in pain. However, both Penta and his brother Ray Phoenix have dealt with injuries, so it's understandable why fans were worried. Next up, what was Penta actually saying during his promo? Kudos to WWE for making Penta's debut feel very special, which it is, including giving him time to address his fans in Spanish and English. For those wondering what Penta said in Spanish, here's a translation. For all my people in Mexico and Latin America, I want to say thank you for being part of the process. Thank you for accompanying me on your journey to get here to WWE. For those that know and ones that don't, I will tell you right now, this is a result of when a Mexican is determined to succeed. Thanks to my family that's here, I love you. Penta's debut was very emotional for his family, with his daughter at ringside even in tears looking on as her father debuted in one of the biggest promotions in the world. Next up, WWE Mocks AEW. Michael Cole used Penta's long-awaited arrival in WWE to take a shot at Penta's former home AEW by stating, "Welcome to the big time." This is the first time the line has been used, as some fans already recalling how Seth Rollins said something similar when Cody debuted at WrestleMania 38. But it's a reminder of WWE's subtle and overt efforts to undermine AEW. Another example is Michael Cole talking up Penta's accomplishments in TNA, Lucha Underground, and AAA, but also failing to mention AEW. But does Penta already have backstage heat? Now, despite Penta making a big splash on Raw, PW Insider is reporting that we did confirm that between the 13-minute match and his post-match promo, Penta went way longer than he was initially planned to go, which led to time being trimmed from other segments later in the show. Now, there were some talents obviously not thrilled about that, as you can imagine. Now, no one likes to have their TV time cut, especially by a newcomer. However, it's obvious that WWE has big things planned for the Luchador, and according to PW Insider, things did get off on the right foot, as they were told that management was happy with the debut and with Penta's reaction live. Now, it'll be interesting to see how WWE books Penta in the long run, because WWE has repeatedly struggled to elevate luchadors besides Rey Mysterio. Part of this problem has been the WWE's focus on finding the next Mysterio rather than giving a luchador a chance to establish their own identity. One of those biggest mistakes being Sin Cara. Hopefully Triple H has learned from WWE's past mistakes and will now try a different strategy with Penta. But why did Raw run so short? Now, if Penta's debut did run over, why didn't WWE just add time to Raw? According to PW Insider's Mike Johnson, that's not how WWE wants to work with Raw, regardless of it airing on Netflix. There seems to be confusion among some, so to clarify, just because WWE no longer has the hard out of having to be off the air by 10 PM or 11 PM Eastern, the way they would on the USA Network, that does not mean that they plan to run endless amounts of time every week. If they internally time out a show to be over at a certain time and they're running over that time, they're going to do whatever they can to get back into the manageable time frame they want the show to end at. They did go on to explain that they were still holding several dark matches live in San Jose and wanted the taping to be over early enough on West Coast time to allow whatever talents and staff scheduled to take red-eye flights home and the ability to do so. Now, sometimes we do forget that Raw could actually last about 3-4 hours, but what about the practicalness of travel with superstars waiting around for hours and hours, knowing they could either go home or they need to go to the next show? Now, it's also important to point out that Raw still airs on traditional TV in some international markets, so WWE has to manage Raw's time for those markets as well. Next up, Wyatt 6 moved. Now, big news for the Wyatt 6 is Uncle Howdy and his crew of creeps have officially moved to SmackDown as part of the WWE's transfer window. Raw General Manager Adam Pearce confirmed the news to Karrion Kross, and according to TJR's Wrestling, The Miz seemed delighted at the news, but Kross warned the former WWE champion that if he found out that The Miz had anything to do with the switch, there would be dire consequences. Kross and his faction, The Final Testament, emerged victorious during their program with the Wyatt 6, which seemed like a weak way to book Howdy and his Hellions given the big push that WWE gave them. What do you think of the Wyatt 6's move over to the Blue brand? Will they get more exposure there? Next up, Hulk Hogan returning to WWE. Now, how does WWE actually intend to use Hogan at the 25th January Saturday Night's main event? While the Wrestling Observer Radio reported that Hogan is booked for the show, in what capacity remains unknown however, but some fans and pundits are curious because Jesse the Body Ventura is also booked for the show, someone who has some legitimate heat with Hogan, as well as half the US. Now we doubt that this concerns Jesse as he's a pro and wrestlers have worked against people they can't stand without any problem. Jesse may even throw a verbal barb at Hogan, but even that is unlikely unless it's part of his role as color commentator. One thing's for sure, the WWE roster doesn't think that Hulk Hogan is genuine. Now even though Hogan is returning at Saturday night's main event, will he receive another barrage of boos from the crowd? While that remains to be seen, Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp had this to say when asked about the WWE's roster's feeling about Hulk Hogan. Most that I've spoken to just feel he isn't genuine. There's not a ton I can really add to that. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to Hogan should he appear on the screen. Next up is Corey Graves upset with WWE. Now his longtime WWE color commentator Corey Graves upset with him being moved from commentary on the action onto the main roster to working on its developmental brand NXT. Well, that may be the case as Graves tweeted, "Imagine chasing your dreams, then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being effing awesome at it. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job, just in case you wondered where I've been." Now for those unfamiliar with Corey's career, he began working as a WWE superstar until an injury ended his career, although rumor has it he has long been since cleared to compete, which has led to Corey Graves calling matches. Now it's unknown just from this tweet if this really is a work or whether Graves is legitimately upset, but one major sign that this may be a work is Corey's tweet afterwards. "I've got a lot to say, don't miss NXT tonight on the CW tonight." Now many are believing that this could be Graves actually coming back to wrestling, as he may have a big announcement on NXT. Could he also even announce his official entry into the Royal Rumble? If so, it could be one of the most explosive returns to WWE in quite some time. Next up, the AEW roster happy to see Malakai Black gone? Or with things looking like Malakai Black has or is leaving AEW, a new report from the Observer suggests that some wrestlers might not mind him leaving. He's gone, he's not to be seen on TV again, most likely. It's funny because as talented as he is, everyone I've asked about it all kind of has the same story, and it's kind of like, good. Now is this a case of Black being a problem backstage, or are they just happy that he's going over to greener pastures? Next up, JBL returning to WWE. Now it looks like WWE Hall of Famer JBL will appear on the 20th January Raw. There's no word on what his role will be, but it's another sign of how WWE is bringing in legends to pop the crowd. Do you think he'll be returning full-time? Could he announce his entry into the Royal Rumble? Next up, Tyler Bate ready for a return. How is Tyler Bate cleared to compete? Bate, who's been out of action since suffering a torn pectoral in July, is close to returning to action, at least according to a new PW Insider report. And this could be great news for Pete Dunne fans who want to see him doing more than feud with Sheamus. Bate and Dunne's new Catch Republic tag team showed promise on Raw before Bate's injury. Next up, WWE stops using fake crowd noise on Raw. WWE made a subtle but very important change to last night's Raw, as Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp is reporting WWE has not been using the blanket crowd sound over the broadcast the last 2 weeks. Do you like it, or did you like how it was before? According to Sapp, this isn't a case of WWE piping in cheers or boos. Instead, go back and listen to any match last year in WWE. There will be a basic crowd noise sound no matter what. Not so loud that it disrupts, but quite enough at times that now you'll notice. Did you guys notice something different on Raw last night? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, a sponsor missing from the Raw ring mat. And last but not least, WWE fans are pointing out the absence of a sponsor on Raw's ring mat. No, WWE hasn't cut ties with Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer, instead the Fortnite logo is missing. Other fans commented on social media that the Prime Energy drink logo is no longer on the mat apron, but we haven't confirmed this. It'll be interesting to find out if Fortnite has actually dropped WWE as a sponsor, or if it just makes the ring mat look cleaner. But there you have it folks, our look at Raw as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.